So when starting out, I like to start with like a spinal column sketch, and build the head off of there. And then you can like hang the body off of that main line. It really helps you kind of like get your whole rhythm of your figure down. Here's a few others. Just working out like a boxy shape for the torso is also a nice starting point. It's important that these are real rough, real kind of gestural. You don't need a whole lot of detail, just exploring different shapes. Here, I thought I might try something a little bit lighter weight, a little bit more aerial looking. From there, it's always good to mix it up and try like the opposite. Going for like a real heavy duty, real like croc or big lizard inspired. When you're starting out with these concept sketches, there's nothing better than just exploring all of your options. This time I thought I might try something with like a really long face, but the eyes are closer to the tip of the snout. Give it a kind of a sinister look. So sometimes going straight to a body sketch may not be so helpful in finding the kind of design you want to work on, because let's face it, every creature is mostly designed by their face. Just like people, everybody wants to look at the face first. So it might be helpful, for you to try designing head first. So I'm going to try that here. Just starting out with some like boxy shapes, building up the skull. Adding some thorns. Definitely gonna want to do thorns with this design. Just keeping the detail loose, but just kind of getting an idea of the different planes. There's a pro tip for creature design: is the smaller the eye is in relation to the head, generally the bigger the animal looks. And you've got like blue whales and elephants. Look at those. They have like giant heads, but they got these tiny little eyes, which are not small at all. They're just really large creatures. So you can kind of like play that up and make the eye a little bit smaller to make the creature look a little bit bigger. Just giving them little teeth. I always wanted to try like some little teeth on a dragon, because everybody's like so quick to give real big teeth. And sometimes the best thing to do to create something unique is just try something that other people aren't really doing very often. We'll just try messing around with it for this design. I love the saggy necks, big dewlap. It gives a lot of like grounded reality to the creature. It's clearly not perfect. It's got like hanging skin. Just, picking out more design shapes that I like better here. I think this one's a pretty good looking design. I'm going to duplicate it now, and I'm going to show off warp transform. And if you don't know how to do this, this is really helpful. So first you want to select your drawing, and then you go to free transform, and you right click and you go down to warp. And now you can push and pull the image and totally like reshape it. It is so helpful for like changing parts of a drawing without having to redraw it. Like that snout, I just totally altered the shape of that snout without having to redraw it at all. You can push the horns back. It's really great for like helping to develop your creature's mood a little bit, like just playing with its forms here and there. Now that I have a head that I'm pretty fond of, let's try designing some bodies to fit the head. I like the bulky chest here. It's got kind of a bird and dinosaur look to it. Let's try wings. Wings are just arms. So let's try it like walking on its knuckles there. And we can take this head again and try different body plan. You know, maybe this one is more bird and less bat. The key thing when you're starting out is always just options, options, options. You know, try as many different designs as you can or as you have time for. You know, it's okay, you're gonna produce some crap, but you're gonna make some really great stuff too. You know, the more work you do, you're gonna have a greater chance of getting a design that you think is really successful. Here, I think this one's a little bit nicer. I think that chest might be a little bit long, but I'm liking the direction that's going. So if regular sketching isn't really your thing, it doesn't really get your juices flowing for being creative, here's another technique that you can try. I just grabbed a random shape brush, you know, just like scattering all these weird shapes all over the place. I'm gonna build a silhouette out of this. And the randomized shapes go a really long ways towards like picking out different designs, because like from here you can kind of get an idea of what this could look like, and you start like taking out the stuff that doesn't matter and like focusing more on the parts that do. You slowly start to build up your shapes. You get an idea of the, you know, some sort of weird critter that you can design here. This is clearly turning into some sort of demon turtle thing. That's another cool thing about this technique, is you don't really have an idea of where you're going to go most of the time. You know, you put down a bunch of weird design shapes and you just like have fun picking out areas that might be important. This one was a really fun design. I like the way that the feet turned out, because that would never be a shape that I would draw, you know, by hand. Here's another style, just different types of brushes. Going for a real spiky one. You know, just mixing it up. You know, you never want to like fall into the same design over and over unless you're like trying to accomplish something very specific. I can already see this one's definitely going to be some sort of little pangolin gremlin guy. Got hedgehog flavor on the back. Pulling out those giant forearms. Just getting like a sense of the designs. What are the important shapes here? I think I'm like a lumbering pangolin titan. Here's a pretty simple exercise that you can try for doing some creature design stuff, is like just doing different heads. You know, a head can tell a lot about a creature. You know, starting out with like kind of a bulky one, then like a more slender snout, so maybe something more of an in-between. This helps you like explore what kind of mood you want your creature to have, what kind of personality you can express through your just design. Taken the liberty of preparing some, you know, critter sketches here. I know that I want to do a dragon for this project, but I'm not really sure what kind of dragon, so I was just exploring some different shapes, some forms. Here we've got a dragon that, you know, it's really more lizard-like. You know, you got the frill, you got a really more lizard body plan, kind of slow and lumbering. You got some shapes here that are a little bit more bird or pterosaur derived. You got the pterosaur type wings here. Got some head designs. Just playing around with different forms. I like this guy. He's really like, looks like he stalks and creeps. And I made gives him like a little bit of a vestigial wing here. He's got like a former elongated finger that, you know, would act as a wing, but now it's just been turned back into a finger. He's got like a really kind of cool, he's got this cool rhythm shape to his body here. Thought it'd be really cool to have a design where you have horns that like fold back over the head and they act as fangs. You know, it's like a saber-toothed tiger, only without the teeth. Really like the way that this guy came out. He's got like a really cool spiky crest above his eyes. Really makes him look very, confrontational. It's all very pointy form language. I drew a baby of it here. Sometimes that helps you when you're designing a creature, is you want to like examine how the creature would look in other stages of its life, which can then inform your design decisions a little bit better. We got some more little bulky creature design here. This one's a little bit more hippo inspired. Hippos have like, really strong, powerful jaws, and I was thinking that might be a kind of a cool design to pull out for a dragon. We got one that's more salamander here. Here we have one that's like really spiky. I wanted to see how many spikes I could fit on like the head of a dragon. There's so many thorns everywhere. It really sells that this guy is not to be trifled with. Here's one that's a little bit more graceful. Looks like it's definitely much better at flying than it is at walking around. You got like the bat wing pattern here. There's one that's a bit more dromaeosaur inspired. I think it's like a really fun design challenge is to try and decide if you want like the arms in front or behind the wings, because like wings are gonna need like real large pectoral muscle. And so a lot of times I like to put the wings in front of the arms. I thought it'd be kind of cool, much like this saber-tooth horn concept thing. Thought it might be kind of cool to do the reverse, where this guy, he's got teeth that act as horns. Just exploring different options, that's how you get something unique. You try and like take general conventions from other creatures, saber teeth or horns, and try and look for a different way to accomplish the same look without necessarily, falling back to what everyone else has already done. So I'm really exploring my different options here, making sure that I get the direction I really want to go. And I think I'm probably going to go something more in this direction. It's like classic without being generic. I like the really spiky shapes, and I think that'll be fun to show off.